Hi. Haven't spoken yet. Just voted. Dropped off me and Brian's absentee ballots. It is October 21st. Yesterday was my dad's birthday. The day before was one of my beloved nephew's birthdays. And today is voting day for me. I just realized I'm wearing this on the day that I voted. Sorry about our president in lots of languages. Bought that back in 2016 or maybe early 2017. Well, oh, politics, why have you entered our lives so strongly? I mean, if anything, these last 4 years have been a wake-up call that we are fairly apathetic about politics in our culture. Maybe that's by design. Maybe some people have manipulated the cultural narrative into thinking voting isn't a big deal or doesn't really matter, or doesn't make a difference. Then you spread a thought like that and suddenly those who do vote hold a lot more power than they would if everyone voted. And there's, cliches around the idea that, it's cliche because it's true. There are clearly more Democrats than Republicans because Democrats tend to believe in social programs and there being a safety net for the poor, for people who are struggling. And that's in the form of more taxes, but that's how a lot of wealthy countries do things. And I don't like paying taxes, but part of the reason I don't like paying taxes is because I don't make a ton of money. So if there were ways to create security and safety nets through a government that just cares about its people as a whole, then then I would probably feel better about. I don't know. It's a tough one because of course it feels good to not pay as much in taxes. Of course it does. And of course that makes you feel more related to your own abilities. But as a person who has had different levels of ability in her life, I've had chapters in my life where my ability is strong. And I can take care of myself and I can be a go-getter and mail out resumes and do all of that kind of stuff. I'm talking back in the early 2000s, but mail out resumes, get the job, push, move forward. It's those have been chapters in my life where I'm feeling very able, mentally, emotionally, spiritually even. And then there are chapters in my life where I'm feeling very, very unable, disabled, wounded, traumatized, dealing with either stuff that came up in therapy and therefore my life would have been fine had we not dredged up all these things, but now the way that rippled into my now at that time made me unfunctional. And so it's dude, you should probably warn people of that before they go into therapy for something that maybe was causing them some anxiety at night or some overeating or some one too many drinks. Unless your life is in full-blown crisis, maybe therapy will actually make your life worse, at least for a decade, like mine kind of did. And I hope that's not a terrifying thing to say, but I just look at it as if you have a bandage on a problem and the bandage is holding, yes, it might fall off one day, but I'm just saying we don't seem to talk as if that would also be an equal time to deal with it. In our culture we tend to talk as if you should just dig the band-aid off and scoop and clean the wound out now, but it's you might be doing that at a chapter of your life when it's actually equally, if not more important, that you build your foundation, whether your foundation is job, where you're going to live, who's your partner, and granted, you might make bad choices based on things that are underneath that wound, and maybe that's what I was doing. So maybe it's lose-lose. Maybe you either dig and clean the wound out and then build new systems and have a better foundation and then find better people, better situations and build your life that way. Or you ignore all that and you build your life and just hope the bandage doesn't fall off. Bandage in this case, in case I'm not being clear, bandage being your own mind's ability to categorize and compartmentalize experiences from when you were young or small and you didn't understand what was going on, and then you create your own defense mechanism. This has been happening in all of human history. You create your own defense mechanisms to understand and cope with social systems or interpersonal dynamics with people who are not treating you with loving kindness, and you figure out your own ways to function in those dynamics. Or that's what I did. I think that's what most people do. And that's where types develop, and that's where, birth order philosophies develop. I even wonder if that's somewhat related to astrology, like you're born a certain time of year versus another time of year, your birthday and times you celebrate fall around particular seasons. Who knows? Like, really, I don't know. Blah. Well, I've been taking ashwagandha root. This is my water bottle from Colorado. My mask with my New Mexican print. And my stitching by my mom to help me relive my childhood, because we always had sweatpants and sweatshirts with cross stitch on them made by her. New Mexico earrings. Not a unicorn yet. Hat. Pink sunglasses. Feeling fresh. My favorite vest I got at the thrift store. Fall leaves. Let's show you some fall leaves. I love fall. When I was a kid, I loved fall even more, and I think I realized that the reason is because when we were kids, fall was like spring, and spring was like fall. So, as an adult, fall is like fall. Fall is like the end of a good thing. Everything's dying, harvest, whatever. And whereas when you're a kid, fall is the beginning of something that I perceived as good. I liked school. I got good grades. I liked my teachers, and I liked learning. I'm a very bookish person. Like, I don't read nearly as many books as I used to, but I wonder if part of my social media usage comes from that same bookishness that I always had as a kid, of like, new subject, new concept, it's like new article, new conversation, new social media trend, like whatever. I don't mean trend, because I don't follow trends at all, but I'll like pay attention to how people that I respect or admire are talking, and I'll kind of map it out in my mind. And I used to do that in such a way that it was almost toxic, because then I was just following the same way I did in middle school, and I only allowed myself to behave in ways that matched the ways the cool kids were acting, and that's really gross. But it's not the fault of the cool kids. Same as like if there's like a one-hit wonder song that got really famous and now you hate it, that's not the fault of the band. They just wrote a song. That's the fault of the radio stations. That's the fault of culture that's playing it too much. That's the fault of so many people, not that band. So it sucks that then you end up hating that band. So, not that I hate cool kids. I don't hate cool kids, but I see the methods, and I see the madness sometimes of like just ways that you can function in the world that create certain results of mystery or intrigue, or I don't know. But what I'm doing right here doesn't create intrigue. I don't want you to be intrigued by me. I want you to, for as long as you're interested until you push stop, I want you to follow along. Think your own thoughts, feel your own feelings, and feel free. Like, I don't think your version of free would look anything like mine, but I hope that me feeling free and then sharing it with you, with the world of 2 people, 5 people, 100 people. I just hit 100 subscribers 2 days ago, I think, maybe a little more. That made me feel good, because then I could change my YouTube name finally to youtube.com/Jessica and the Rainbow instead of XYQRTP whatever. Yeah. All right. Maybe I should write a song. Hey, I just voted song, and guess who I voted for? Just kidding. It's obvious. I think I need to tune. I'm in a running car because I'm on a nature drive, and I was maybe gonna head all the way to Holland, see some leaves, stop at a market that I had always wanted to visit there, but I have to teach my mom piano lessons in 2 hours and 15 minutes, and Holland is 30, maybe even 40 minutes away to get to this particular nature store. So that's kind of cutting it close with like enjoying nature and seeing anything. Hey, wait, no! This tuner is very finicky. I think half of my great adventure, I was acting like it was dead, and then I tried it again and it worked. It was very frustrating. So I have a lot of out-of-tune songs from my adventure. Hey, it worked! It turned on. Apparently shaking works. Ew. Out-o-tune. So... it's weird. I need to set it to vibrate because I think it's picking up other sounds. Okay. That's why I wasn't talking when I was tuning, because if I talked, it picked up the pitch of my voice. Ooh, sharpo. So I hope you're having a lovely day. I hope you don't forget to vote. Voting is obviously very important. It's just a way of collectively saying this is what we value. And if more people value one thing, I mean, I've had questions in my mind about, you know, if the wealthy people are a smaller percentage of the population, and if they hold the power... No, this is too dark of a thought. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Oh, come on. It keeps saying it's not there yet. I've twisted it like so many times. Come on, E. Alright. Okay, I am in such a loud, feisty mood. Sorry about that. So... I mean, maybe not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But, like, what I mean is, I think I almost can't handle my split personality. If I get really excited and bubbled up and, like, ooh, I had 2 cups of coffee or maybe even 3, then I go to sing a song and I'm like, la-di-da. But it's not fake. I think my own music is a way of me experiencing my own energy. And maybe it's the difference between going like this. So take a deep breath with me. Which would be like how I act when I'm just talking. And then the difference between that and this, take a deep breath. And those are breathing exercises from an actual vocal warm-up. But the second one obviously provides me with control, inner control, breath control. The breath lasts longer. Sometimes I think that's what these are a little bit. I think these YouTube videos are probably a trauma response, to be honest. I feel like my last 4 years are a bit of a trauma response. I never needed to show off that I could write 365 songs in 365 days. I found it a little distasteful that occasionally in a Facebook comment, because I didn't use Instagram as much back then, but occasionally in 2016 or 2015 in a Facebook comment, I would say something about how I write hundreds of songs a year. And then I would just feel kind of gross. Either A, I would feel like people didn't believe me, or B, that people didn't give it value or give me value. And I did feel small all the time before. But the solution prior to a Trump presidency would not have been to prove it to you. But there was something about a Trump presidency, the part that got really toxic for me was watching a man who I knew was mentally unstable, who I knew was mentally unsound by how he had behaved in the media and in his own shows since he was much younger. I knew he was unsound. I knew he was an absolute mess. I mean, if you look at just the way he mocked disabled people, like, it was insane. Like, I hesitated to make sure I was saying the culturally correct term right now. He not only would never hesitate to be sure that he's caring or respecting others, like, and it's true, culture terms have changed. Like, for a while, special needs was what you should say so that you didn't say disabled, and that truly is what truly they promoted back in, like, the 90s. Like, I remember it clear as day. You should say special needs so that you're not offensive and not saying disabled. And then it literally flipped. And now people say that that's offensive because to say special needs makes it sound like you're avoiding the word disabled or avoiding the concept of disabled, which feels offensive to people because they're like, well, just say it. It is what's true. But the real bias then would be in your own mind of like, are you assuming that to be able-bodied is a better, are you assuming that able-bodied people would be better people, or that that's a better thing? And it's like, yeah, if you want to talk about like life challenges, sure, it's challenging, I believe, to live in a disabled body. And I don't say that as like separating body from person or humanity. I say that because I always separate souls as, souls inside of a body. So sure, challenge, yes, but better? That's disgusting. And so not only does he not pause, back to Trump, not only does he not pause to think about how do my words affect people, he goes for the jugular and goes for the most extreme, the most hateful and hideous and heinous thing that a person can do or say, which is to like mock. Like he picked a middle school gesture that we shouldn't have ever learned on the playground from mean-spirited, mean-hearted, cold-hearted, cruel-hearted people. Like I had never thought those thoughts on my own, but I did see it on the playgrounds. Sure. Sorry, I just saw dogs and people walking. So it's like, if mocking disabilities is something that the cruelest people invented in childhood, and it gets passed on from cruel people to cruel people, cruel parents passing it on to mini cruel children who are cruel parents in the making, or cruel adults in the making, it's like there is cruelty in the world and deep unkindness. And so to have a person become our leader, who not only doesn't even try to hold back things. Like he actually went the other direction. He noticed that he got a rise out of, in his mind, a good rise out of people who do have those prejudices. He basically found out how to make his people the bullies of the world. And then over time, what's terrifying is once he got the bullies, which were extremists, the extreme bullies, the kind of rough-talking people who wanted to be able to just openly make fun of whatever they made fun of in middle school. Once he got those people on his side, somehow some of it rippled into other places. And now, he's just used that same philosophy the whole way. He's spinning narratives. He's making fun of people. I don't want to talk about him anymore. I just voted against him. I voted for Biden. To be honest, I don't like this idea that, people divide over whether or not someone's the perfect candidate. I hope liberals have come together to realize that you just need to take down terrifyingly creepy people and put roughly decent, but yes, maybe slick and political people. I don't want to be a politician. I have flaws up the wazoo. And sure, I'm sure Biden does too. And I'm sure you do too. I would bet that your flaws are so huge that you would make either an average politician, or maybe your flaws are less than mine, and so you'd make a little better one than me, or maybe your flaws are bigger than mine and you'd make a little worse one. But either way, devoting, 30, 40, 50 years to public service, yes, as a job, I don't know. It's sort of like the whole thing about pastors or churches. I don't want to really get into that topic either, but it's like, yes, there are corrupt people. There's hugely corrupt people in the world. And we don't get to know because corruption is hidden. We don't get to know how corrupt a person is. So all I can say about Trump is that there's something so fundamentally wrong with him as a human being that instead of hiding his corruption, he's almost proud of it, like a mob boss. Like a mob boss in power. So if that doesn't scare you, I understand if you have conservative views or Republican views or fiscally, I don't know, pro-capitalism views, but if it doesn't scare you that someone with the same ethos and vibe as a mob boss is running our country, that's, to me, that reflects on you, not just on him. That reflects on you. If that aspect of wealth or lower taxes is that important to you, that you're willing to have a mob boss with nuclear codes, I think you're crazy then too. I think you're money obsessed, or you're stability, security obsessed in a way that especially if you're someone who then also believes in God. Like somehow Trump also got all these conservative Christians to believe in him. So if you believe in God, just know that I think Trump is selling security America. He's selling like upper middle class wealth America, prosperity America. He's selling money America, capitalism America. He's selling, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom, 6-bedroom house, or 2 houses or 3 houses America. He's selling prosperous business America. He's selling every man for himself America. Build yourself up and pay less in taxes and really take care of yourself and have a good foundation for your family and get them into those good colleges America. He's selling success America. And success America, you have to add the word capitalism in the front of it, because success was happening in cultures before you were born. Like success was happening, I just visited New Mexico and saw these churches from like the 1600s, and you can go back even before that and just imagine, what did the people do before that? I mean, there were probably, I'm not saying things were perfect in other cultures. I'm just saying that there are ways to build community. There are ways to be a maker, to be a person who sings songs, or to be a community that sings songs, maybe. Like, if I lived in a different world, would I need my songs to be so isolatedly me? Or is my songs being my isolatedly me actually a source of pain and somewhat trauma? Because then it creates an obsession with you. Are you following me? Are you interested in me? Will you come and embrace me and be part of my me? Separation is a lie. The joy of separation is a lie. Getting your house and your family and your needs met on a hill so that you can be happy and rise above other people, and then look down and notice other people aren't okay. Now you have to become somebody who splits your own mind to justify why you're okay with that, when you're actually secretly in these deep parts of your soul, the same parts that I imagine is what being in church and really connecting to Jesus and God feels like. It's like, I don't mean I imagine, I mean that's, for me, church softens whatever those divides are. And it makes me feel more connected to both my own humanity and, to my own humanity, and therefore by being more connected to my own humanity, the best parts of me, and the humble parts of me that feel like I'm not all that, like when I'm really connected to my humanity and my problems as normal, and when I'm really connected to that, I'm also connected to all of you. And Trump is selling a lie where he says we don't need that. We don't need to care about social programs or our brothers or sisters. We don't need to strive to be better in those departments. Like, I don't even think Democrats are saying we need to suddenly get it all right. Sometimes I do think there's an anxiety on that side that is very shaming and very judgmental and very righteous anger and virtue signaling, and there is a lot of stuff on the liberal side that I do not like. I do not like witnessing people fragment and bash each other for not being a good person perfectly, because it's constantly changing. Now some new group or new person speaks up and says, it's actually hard for me when you say this, and now we need to change the language after listening to them and taking their feelings into account. And eventually, if we listen to everybody and we assume that it will keep changing, because now new people will be born and new feelings will be born and new experiences will be born, and people will literally change. And everything will change. And then language would need to change with it. And there would be no ground. We would be in an ocean of understanding each other. And there'd be no progress. And so we'd have to be okay with everything being same forever in its progress. If that makes sense, I don't know. You'd have to be okay with a world where growth just means openness to the humanity of everyone. But it wouldn't mean any culture getting ahead of another culture. It wouldn't mean any group getting ahead of another group. It would just be we're all listening to the people around us and caring about their humanity and being willing to grow and change with each other. But I would imagine that's why, a lot of ancient cultures also had a lot of customs and practices that stayed the same, because that would be exhausting to change everything all the time, constantly. But on the flip side, there were things like two-spirit, like things that we're now fighting for in capitalism or in, particular religion-dominated societies. It's like in a lot of those cultures, it seems like it was just acknowledged. Like being a two-spirit wasn't a surprise. If someone was born two-spirit, then that wasn't, I would imagine, good or bad. I think it was actually considered good, which... Oh, America. Oh, the United States of America. Oh, United States. There's so much arrogance in the world. I've been an arrogant person much of my life. I just don't share that because I know that it's very unlikable. But then I found so many other ways to be unlikable that maybe it would have been wise to just be arrogant. Because then I could have also still moved ahead on things. Things that I held myself back on because I didn't want to seem arrogant. Like getting all A's or writing. I think I wrote multiple papers in iambic pentameter and got not only A's, but teachers were obsessed with me or were talking about me in their classes 10 years later, or hey, I wrote a musical at age 20 and then I directed it and performed it on the piano and presented it as a honors project, and I guess I was 21 by the time I presented it. And I've just always been afraid of being unliked for being epic. Because it actually happened to me in 5th through 7th grade, and I know I keep talking about this lately, but my epicness shined. All those statewide songwriting awards and school-wide concerts of me, and that did not create community. So teachers, you were wrong. That did not uplift my friends. That did not soothe their spirits beyond a burst of a moment. It ruined my social relationships because I was excited to be useful, to be needed. I was excited to write songs. I was excited to have a chance to finally share them and feel like my real self was welcome at school. Because my real self was a songwriter, But that did not create a good social foundation for me. There's got to be ways in the world to become ourselves. I don't know. My beliefs are really changing. I'm becoming the most God-oriented person I've ever been in my lifetime. Or if there are in past lives, probably than I've ever been in any lifetime. Because I can see how all of this is a dead end. A, because I'm going to die, and so are you. But B, because this self, find yourself, be yourself, identity politics, find your own identity, whether it's sexuality, whether it's gender, whether it's politics. Am I Democrat? Am I Republican? Am I moderate? How do I feel about social programs? It's all of it, talk, and then we die. And I'm not saying it's a total distraction by any means. I'm just saying that, too much self, growing of the self, leads to nothing. Well, it leads to you had a self and now you pass away and you become a story or you become a memory. But when I think about my memories of the people who have passed away, one recently, I think about how they made me feel. Or how I felt in their company. Or how I felt inside their choices, at their house when they were having family over, or how I felt when they talked to me one-on-one. But I don't remember the words. Not really. A little bit. I remember the ideas a little bit, sort of like images, and I remember the feeling. But it's so much less than what most of us want. There won't be books written about me. There won't be framed cases of awards. Like, even Olympic athletes, you just become a name. Like, similar to like a war hero. And some would argue that that's much more grand. Or a hero of any kind, you know. A firefighter, for instance, rescuing people. That's a name. So is an Olympic athlete. It's just a name on a list. I'm not trying to be offensive, but if the absolute best of what I could become with my life in terms of me, self-oriented or a non-God-oriented life, if the best I could become is a name on a list in a book, oh yeah, there were some songwriters from that era. Like, I don't even think West Michigan wouldn't even make a list. And had I stayed in Chicago, Chicago wouldn't have even made a list. I know a ton of really amazing songwriters there. More since I moved away. And I saw people devote 5 or 10 years living in, you know, maybe smaller spaces with less nature than they would have liked, to rise up on that little idea mountain, image mountain, for what? For a name on a list, or to just be part of a scene from a time. Like, if I wanted to be like Joni Mitchell once I discovered who she was, or the Beatles, or Amy Mann, or Regina Spektor, or Joanna Newsom, that one really infected me with dreams, you know, or Sufjan Stevens. If those are the people I admired and wanted to be like, then I didn't originally, or somewhere along the way, want to just be like them in terms of what they did with their time. I wanted to be liked like them, or I wanted to be needed like them. In other words, I wanted to be like a mini God, because like I wanted to be something that somebody thought about. I wanted to be something that somebody needed, like the top of a pyramid or a triangle. Like, I wanted multiples to see me as needed. And I have been given a life path that keeps giving me moments like that, where a bunch of people seem to need or like what I share, and then it just fades because I'm too soft. I don't mean too soft in a bad way. I mean, I'm more like Mr. Rogers without an organizational structure. I mixed with some dark songs. I'm too many things to be a top. I'm too confusing with trauma healing mixed with Care Bear. Like, what? And I feel that God did that for me on purpose, honestly. But when I say God in that case, I mean like the creator of the universe. I feel like my life has been, it's like clay, and it's been made into so many different things that how can it be a one thing that gets to have some sort of joy in success or joy in fame? I mean, even when I was in 5th grade, the whole reason those school-wide concerts started was because my friend passed away of a brain tumor. And that was like horrifying, and I wrote my first really like kind of sadder sounding song at that time. So then, you know, as a young 5th grade brain, to go from Casio pop, sad that my friend died, writing a sad song, now a school-wide concert of my songs, like it, I don't think 5th grade brains can separate out the difference between I'm liked or I'm important in this moment from these songs are important, or this moment is important, or this opportunity to connect with everyone is important. It's too sophisticated of a thought for a child. And that's why I'm very sensitive about the idea of like child fame. Kids can't understand what it means. It doesn't mean that they're better than others, and even if they're being more liked or more attended to than others. And it's too complicated, and it really wrecked my social life, and it also just really messed with my brain. Like, because then later, as I got older, I became confused at the absence of that likability, or needability would be a better way to say it. Like, I wasn't needed as a songwriter or as a creative. I hope some of this is helpful to you. It's very helpful for me to talk about. And I don't hear these themes getting talked about enough. Christian literature like C.S. Lewis and The Problem of Pain, which is what I'm reading lately, talks about it, but vaguely, very rarely with his own life. I try to admit the things that are the most painful. And I know that makes it seem like it's all about me, but I can only talk from my own experience, and I'm certainly not going to share other people's painful stories, embarrassing moments. Oh, oh, I take you in me now and forever, and you know the way. I'm just following you, God. I'm following you. I can't do this alone. I'm just following you. I'm just following you. Please help me know where to go. I'll keep following you, following you home. Following you to my home in the sky, made of light, made of time, unfolding and then collapsing on itself into one point of light, and I'm okay with that. I am brave, though I'm sad, but I've been so sad down here too. It's all just this sadness and the only view that's been great here contains you, contains multitudes of you, like a kaleidoscope shooting out of my mind. And I've learned to cope like someone who keeps losing their own mind to God, jumping off the train like a timeline that was unfolding, but then it's folded up again, and I want to know you more than I know me. It can be very hard for me to write things that are authentic when I'm in the middle of a video rant. But I felt somewhere inside that song I was living in it and flying in it and breathing in it, and then it started writing itself and I started being true. It's not that some of my songs are lies, it's just that sometimes I think I love songs too much to be about the points of the song, the point that's being told in the song. Sometimes I think for me the point is just the joy of songwriting. And underneath that layer, the joy of songwriting comes from the joy of exploration of all of these ideas and themes and all of this healing that I've gotten to do in this life. And then because I'm so excited about all of the ways that I've gotten to heal, I mean, it gives me chills. I feel so light considering how I used to feel, which was like severe panic, PTSD, anxiety all the time. I mean, I'm able to live such a better life than I used to live because of all the moments of healing, many of which are captured in these videos on so many topics. And then if I'm not careful, I end up too excited about this process instead of excited about the healing and the connection to God itself. It's like a form of arrogance. It's almost like a form of I'm okay, like okayness. Like I'm okay being down here, being miserable and sad in a lot of my humanity and my folly. But I'm okay with it because I can just turn it into songs. So don't worry about me, God, I'm fine. Like being your own God. Like thinking you're like thinking your own feelings of connection to God make you on the same level as God, maybe. I don't know. It's gross stuff. I've never been attracted to arrogance in people, and I never meant to be somebody who wrestled with that, but I've been given a very vibrant life where I get to do a lot of cool things, you know, and to have like conservatory level piano skills probably doesn't help. Because like, if anything, I pulled back on a lot of that. I'm not very showy with piano stuff. Like, I don't make YouTube videos showing people how quickly I can play almost any song I hear by ear. Not really. See, don't challenge me because I don't enjoy it. But also, I just, yeah, it's like I hold back on certain things that I can do because because arrogance and ability are just not that likable. I don't know. They're also not necessarily useful. Like, I've seen some amazing guitar players before where they're like so good, but you wouldn't want to be in a band with them because you can just see them like, oh, I'm so, like, they're just like, there's this look. And I never wanted to be that. I never wanted to be somebody who looked like my enjoyment of myself. Not just I didn't want to come off that way, but I actually didn't want to live that way. I didn't ever want my own enjoyment of myself and my badassery and ability to be more important to me than what you're getting out of it, or than how it helps me connect with you. I never wanted my own excitement about my own skills to be more important than our shared humanity. And I think I've had chapters of my life, especially in my trauma, where I got so introverted, and I still get introverted all the time, but where my own self-experience became more important to me than what those gifts could mean to someone outside of myself. And that's why I haven't polished or refined almost anything in all these years. I just kind of throw it to the wind because I'm getting to have this lived-in experience. But I've been rethinking that lately and exploring doing things a little more crafted again. And maybe I've been afraid to do that because in the past, holding back on a project while working on it and then putting out a final polished crafted thing, in the past that actually came out of fear that it wasn't good enough to impress you. But I don't want to do it out of fear. I just might want to consider doing a little more holding back and editing someday from a perspective of making it easier for you to connect with, making it so that my skills and talents help you have an experience of shared humanity with me. And these are new thoughts for me, so I'm sorry I'm not looking you in the eyes. I mean, I think I've known for a long time that I might have an Achilles heel of a form of arrogance. Either from getting good grades my whole life or from having skills and talents that people told me set me apart. And it's like, but to have a heart that wants to focus on shared humanity, then it becomes very hard to figure out how to apply those skills and talents to shared humanity. Because in the past, the times that I felt the most connected in shared humanity, I wasn't using my full talents at all. I was like just a piano player for a job or just a piano player for something. And I wasn't using any of these like philosophical, analytical, or poetic, or whatever these singer-songwriter vibes are. I was just being used like a tool for my piano skills in the times when I also felt the most like shared humanity. I suppose in one of the particular jobs I also gave inspiring speeches to motivate people on things, and sometimes it would be like play piano but then also give like an uplifting, heart-healing speech. You know, I guess that was pretty good. I don't know. Well, I'm feeling pretty vulnerable because I didn't mean to share quite that much or quite that weirdly. But there you go. Oh yeah, this is the same video as, and I voted. And all my other political thoughts. So, okay. I hope these help you. I don't think I'll do these forever. I don't know what this is. It's literally, I do know what this is. It's journaling. I'm journaling I'm just inviting you into it, and I'm talking instead of writing. Have a lovely day. Bye. I feel like there's one more thing I should say. Maybe if these help you, you could let me know in the comments, because otherwise, this is a very weird YouTube channel, and I don't really know who I am or what I'm doing in terms of why I do these still. I really do think it's a trauma response. And having lived a mile from 9/11 and having been with multiple abusive boyfriends and or husbands, ex-husbands, and have had serious trauma since I was pretty young. There were things that happened. Not my immediate family. Thank you. I love you guys. I'm lucky for that. But I just like to clarify that, because otherwise I don't feel comfortable just saying I had trauma since I was pretty young. Yeah, I think these videos are a trauma response to the futility and the feeling of powerlessness with Trump. And I started making these at the same time I started the 365 and 365 days. 365 songs in 365 days. And that was right around when I bought this shirt, and I felt powerless, and being overly, not overly, but not excessively, I want to use a positive sounding word, being wildly, spiritedly, spontaneously, impulsively, that's not as positive a word, not insanely, incredibly creative for these 4 years, like more than I have ever put out in my lifetime. I have done during the Trump presidency. So thanks, Trump. I mean, by you putting your crazy out, you pulled mine out, I guess. You know, you pulled out my things I wanted to say and didn't think I could say in a non-crazy, meandering all over the place way. And so I feel like these 4 years gave me courage, and so I am grateful. But I still don't like you, and I don't like what you've done to our country. So all right. The end. Bye.